Welcome back to Talkin 270, a view of hoops from the capital city all the way across the great state of Ohio, showcasing all of the great hoops being played in the Buckeye State this week. In this video, we're going to talk about two hoopers that are having insane seasons, both in efficiency and volume. Another league title that is on the line in a small town. You love those small town hoops. You gotta love those small town hoops. And then we are going to preview a little bit of some of the teams that have really taken a rise this season. Both teams in Central Ohio that have really opened some eyes and really surprised a lot of folks. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about how the tournament draw was on Sunday, and we're going to preview a lot of that in the upcoming weeks here. With the tournament draw being on Sunday, that means that somehow we still have 2 weeks left in the regular season, which for all of the things about the Max Preps RPI system that I think is good overall generally with the system, there needs to be some sort of tweak to when we do the tournament draw, because now computers can have this RPI done within the matter of moments of you putting in your final games. And in the NCAA tournament, you would never see that, where they would seed the teams before all of the games. And I think that something needs to change. We will get more into that next week as we prep for our tournament talk, where we will go over some of the divisions and some of the anomalies. But you know what time it is. Let's roll the tape. Let's get into what we see in the regular season right now. This was a tie game with 4 seconds left, and this nearly happens. Oh my, small town rivalries really are the best. And the trip down US 42 with the stop at Cappy's Pizza in London, though, had me hyped, as Jonathan Alder and London were set to do battle for first place and most likely the Central Buckeye Conference's Kenton Trail Division trophy on the line. Early on, the Pioneers jumped out to a lead thanks to senior Noah Hess and freshman Danny Bentley, who were cooking on the offensive end, leading 11-7 after a quarter and 23-21 at halftime. But London, sparked by their own freshman sensation and Luke Johnson, began to turn the tide in the second half and even took the lead at the end of the third quarter, sparking a 13-2 run that got them the lead with just over 5 minutes left in the game. But Alder is battle tested, and as the defending district champs and regional semifinalists, they retook the lead by 1. And then this is where the fun happens, as senior Kyler Greenhill for London bangs home this triple to give the Red Raiders the lead. And the freshman Bentley says, "Hold 3 of these for me," retaking the lead. Noah Hess's prayer fell short at the end of regulation as we headed to overtime, where June Turner erased the Jonathan Alder lead with this bucket, but Bentley goes to the other end and gets fouled, makes 2, and the Pioneers sealed the big-time league victory, and they have actually clinched the CBC league title. Averaging 21 points a night is pretty solid in itself, but doing that while having 78, 48, 82 splits in a season is insanity. Meet Margaretta's Julian Washington, a junior for the Polar Bears, who is lighting up box scores not just for the amount of points he has, but for the way in which he has done it. There's been no shortage of stats to pick from in those box scores this season, including hitting the 1K points mark in an 83-42 win over Vermilion in December, but the efficiency is arguably the best quality, as his 67.8 field goal percentage, if it stands through the year, would be the 8th best in OHSAA history and the best since Hayden Stone from Cary was 65% from the floor in 2020. There are other records in play for the junior, but those will have to take the back burner for titles like this one that Margaretta won on February 7th, clinching the Sandusky Bay Conference title over Huron in a 63-47 win. The Polar Bears sit at 19-1 on the season and have 2 regular season remaining games before opening tournament play on the 21st against Oak Harbor. There's plenty of times for records, as Washington stands at 1,255 points as of this recording, and he will need just 169 more to become his school's all-time leading scorer, a record currently held by Lake Erie College junior guard Jake Leibacher at 1,423 points. This time of year, it's important to take a look back and tip our caps to some of the teams that have far exceeded any expectations that were set for them in the preseason. And there's 2 that jump off the page immediately in Central Ohio. Hilliard-Darby is the darling of Division I this year, as they have experienced an 11-win improvement from last season. The Panthers finished an 8-0 season in conference play in the OCC Cardinal and won the outright title in a win Friday over Olentangy, their first league crown since 2008, when now Hilliard Bradley head coach Brett Norris was leading the Panthers. This title is extra special now for head coach Chris Maul, who's been at Darby through the highs and the lows of everything that they have had to see in Panther Nation. And if Darby is able to win a district title this season, it will be their first since 1999, the only time the Panthers have been district champs in boys or girls basketball, when they took down Hilliard-Davidson 48-46. Back at the Fairgrounds Coliseum back then. Tony Rice left his alma mater Briggs to take a job at a school on the same road as his former school, only 1.5 miles away. However, the experience from one season to the other is a 1,000-mile difference, going from 3-20 to 23-24 to 12-6 this season. The Falcons under Rice's leadership are having their best season in 11 years, winning double-digit games for the first time since 2013-14. The biggest win came last Tuesday when they defeated neighborhood rival Bishop Reedy in double overtime, handing the Silver Knights their second loss in 19 games. With Division II having 5 different brackets, Franklin Heights has a real shot at winning their first district title in school history. What's tougher to do, 1K receiving yards in a football season or 1K points in a basketball career? Either way you pick it, Hamilton Township's Joe McBride has done it. The junior has had a crazy 24-25 season on both the hardwood and the gridiron, starting with football where the whiteout had 350 receiving yard games, scored 16 touchdowns, and led his team to a 9-0 regular season start. Then, for good measure, all McBride has done during the hoop season is average 25 points per game a night on the hardwood, leading his team to a 16-3 record and their first league title in nearly 35 years. Oh yeah, he dropped 30 plus on 7 different occasions so far this season. The junior surpassed the 1K points mark in the second game of the year, where he had 37-3 in a 66-41 win over Central Crossing, and that game was on the heels of a near triple-double performance against Tays Valley in the opener, where he dropped 34, 10, and 9. There's plenty of basketball left in McBride, who capped off the Mid-State League Championship with a 39-point performance and will have the Rangers in peak form as tournament time rolls around in a little more than a week. Most of you guys know that the tournament draw was this past Sunday as we released all of our brackets for the 7 divisions in Central Ohio and even in Division 1. All 4 regions in Division 1 as well. We previewed those. We're going to have more content on those next week. But one thing that I think needs to be talked about a little bit more, and a lot of people on Twitter are talking, including the great folks like our guy Martin RPI, who's mentioned this many times. I do believe that there needs to be some sort of change in order next year for the way this system is done in terms of when the tournament draw is. You know, when in the old tournament draw system where people would seed teams, we'd have to do it in person on a Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, and it made sense. But now, right now, the way it is with this RPI system through Max Preps, we can have these tournament draw seedings done instantaneously. We can have you put in records. There were teams that didn't even have all of their records in, and that's on the teams themselves to do. But also, it shouldn't have to be done until the final week of the regular season, which we still have 2 full weeks left in the regular season of action. Now in Division 3 and a couple other divisions, they start their tournament play, I believe, on the 18th, which is right around that last Friday. But with that being said, I think there has to be some sort of change in when we do these tournament draws, because there are still 4 or 5 games outstanding. I know for one fact, Dublin Jerome has 5 games upcoming in the next 2 weeks that they still have to play, and it doesn't change their seed because the draw is already done. The seedings are already done. We know what the pairings are, but that's unfair to those teams, and it's unfair to any team that has a game in the next 2 weeks. Wayne, for example, on Sunday, I will be heading down to Huber Heights Wayne. They play Lima Senior. That could be a huge game for either Lima Senior or Huber Heights Wayne, depending on who wins that game, but it's not going to matter, simply put, because these seeds are already done. These brackets are already done. And I think that does a real disservice to the teams that schedule these late games. I think that something needs to be done to change this process, and I hope the OHSA hears out people that have these concerns, because it doesn't happen in football and it doesn't happen in other sports. Especially in football, you play your 10 weeks and then you find out then, so they can make plans then for those things. And I don't understand why we can't have that in basketball as well. There will be plenty more to talk about next week as we get closer to the tournament, and we'll have a lot more tournament coverage. But until then, show up, show out, and you'll get a shout out. See you guys.